Imagine for a moment that you're standing in a quiet place looking up at the night sky. You see stars, the moon, maybe even a planet or two. They seem so far away, so perfect in their stillness, don't they? But here's the thing. Have you ever wondered how people thousands of years ago understood this vast universe? How did they explain the stars? The sun? The earth itself? For most of history, people believed that everything revolved around the earth. The sun, the moon, and the stars, they were just parts of a great cosmic show. But deep down, there was one man who refused to accept simple answers, who looked at the stars and said, "There's more to this, I'm going to figure it out." This man was Aryabhata, an ancient Indian mathematician and astronomer who, long before anyone else, challenged everything people thought they knew. And in doing so, he changed the way we understand the universe. But here's the thing. His discoveries were almost lost to history. Yes, his brilliant mind, his innovative ideas were buried in the sands of time, only to be rediscovered centuries later. But how much of Aryabhata's wisdom do we really understand today? And what if I told you that some of his predictions and calculations were so accurate they could challenge even modern scientists? Let's start with something that has baffled humanity for centuries: eclipses. Imagine living in ancient times, seeing the sun suddenly vanish or the moon turn dark. What would you think? For thousands of years, people thought that these events were caused by angry gods or powerful demons trying to swallow the celestial bodies. Can you picture the fear that must have gripped them? But Aryabhata didn't just accept those explanations. He was different. He looked up at the sky and thought, there has to be a logical reason for this. And so he studied the movements of the earth, the moon, and the sun. After years of careful observation, Aryabhata concluded that eclipses weren't magical at all. They happened because of the Earth's shadow falling on the moon or the moon passing between the Earth and the sun. When Aryabhata made this discovery, no one had any clue about the true cause of eclipses. The idea of a spherical Earth casting a shadow on the moon was unheard of. Yet Aryabhata not only figured this out, but he also predicted the dates of eclipses with astonishing accuracy. Imagine over 1500 years ago, he knew when these celestial events would occur, down to the very day. And while the world was still in the dark, Aryabhata's insight proved to be centuries ahead of its time. But there's a twist. His predictions were so precise they weren't just a coincidence. His understanding of the Earth's movement around the sun, the very thing that made eclipses possible, was a direct result of his understanding of the Earth spinning on its axis. But how did he come to this conclusion when no one else believed the Earth moved? Now take a deep breath, because here comes the interesting part. Imagine a world where everyone thinks the Earth is flat. A world where people believed that the Earth was the center of everything, and the sun and stars just orbited around it. That was the accepted belief. But Aryabhata, a man in ancient India, dared to think differently. He proposed that the Earth wasn't flat at all. No, he said the Earth was round, and not just round, but spinning on its axis. Think about that. At a time when people thought the Earth was the center of the universe, Aryabhata suggested that the Earth actually rotates, and that rotation is what caused the cycle of day and night. Can you imagine how revolutionary that must have been? This was a time when even the idea of a round Earth seemed impossible, and yet Aryabhata figured it out, and he didn't stop there. Aryabhata understood that the Earth's rotation was responsible for the sun appearing to rise and set, and that the stars seemed to move across the sky because of the Earth's motion. This was huge. So huge, in fact, that Aryabhata was the first person in history to suggest this idea. But here's the crazy part. Modern scientists later confirmed that Aryabhata's calculations were incredibly accurate. You might be wondering, how did Aryabhata know about the Earth's rotation? At a time when the world was still clinging to the belief that the Earth was flat, how did one man come to understand the true nature of our planet? The answer lies in his careful study of the stars in the heavens. Aryabhata didn't just guess or speculate. He observed, he calculated, and he saw patterns in the sky that no one else saw. This man was not just a mathematician, he was a visionary. But Aryabhata's genius didn't stop at just understanding the Earth's rotation. No, he took things even further. Let's talk about the size of the Earth. Something that seems obvious to us today, thanks to modern science. But remember, in Aryabhata's time, no one had a way to measure the Earth's size. It wasn't like you could just hop on a plane and circle the globe. Aryabhata, however, figured it out with nothing but the stars and mathematics. Using simple geometry and his understanding of the Earth's rotation, Aryabhata calculated the circumference of the Earth. And here's the crazy part. His estimate was incredibly accurate. He calculated the Earth's circumference to be 39,968 kilometers. And guess what? Today we know the actual circumference is 40,075 kilometers. That's only a 0.2% error. Imagine getting something like that right without any of the tools we have today. It's a staggering feat of intellectual brilliance. But how did Aryabhata pull this off? How did he calculate something so precise without satellites or technology? He did it through observation and thought. He realized that the sun's position at different times of day could be used to calculate the size of the Earth. It wasn't magic, it was pure observation, combined with a deep understanding of mathematics. Now let's talk about trigonometry. You know how in math class we learn about angles and sine and cosine? Well, Aryabhata was the first person to develop the principles of trigonometry. You might not think about it much, but trigonometry is what allows us to map the stars, navigate across the world, and even send rockets into space. How did Aryabhata discover this? By looking at the stars and understanding how they moved. He realized that in order to track the stars and planets, you needed a way to measure angles. So, he created mathematical formulas to calculate these angles, essentially creating the foundation for trigonometry. Without his work, modern astronomy and navigation wouldn't exist. Every time you look at a map, use GPS, or even look at the stars, you're using Aryabhata's ideas. And what's even more fascinating is that Aryabhata didn't just develop trigonometry for the sake of it. He used it to calculate the movements of the stars and planets. This was the key to understanding the universe, and Aryabhata had the brilliance to figure it out when no one else could. But the most astonishing thing Aryabhata did was give us zero. Zero, it's something so ordinary to us today that we rarely stop and think about its significance. But in Aryabhata's time, the concept of zero didn't even exist in most parts of the world. Yet Aryabhata understood its power. He used zero not just as a placeholder, but as a revolutionary tool in mathematics. Without zero, we wouldn't have the advanced math that powers our technology today. Without Aryabhata's insight into zero, there would be no computers, no advanced science, no space travel. Zero is the foundation of everything modern society has achieved, and it all goes back to Aryabhata. Here's the twist. For centuries, Aryabhata's incredible contributions were lost to history. The West had no idea who he was or what he had achieved. But recently, historians and scientists have rediscovered his work, and what they found was nothing short of amazing. In 1975, India launched its first satellite into space. They named it Aryabhata, in honor of the man who had uncovered the secrets of the universe long before anyone else. Imagine that. His ideas, which had been forgotten for centuries, were now inspiring space exploration. But there's still so much more to uncover about Aryabhata's genius. His work may have been ahead of its time, but the mystery of how he came to these conclusions is something that continues to fascinate us today. His life and discoveries leave us with one burning question. How did Aryabhata see the universe so clearly when no one else could? So, the next time you look at the stars or think about the Earth, remember Aryabhata. This one man, against all odds, challenged the way the world thought and saw the universe. His discoveries still shape our world today. What do you think about Aryabhata's incredible insights? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this journey through Aryabhata's life inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the universe. You won't want to miss the next mind-blowing story we'll explore.